Nashville, raising Nashville, raising Nashville, raising Nashville.
Welcome to Raising Nashville. I'm Bucky.
Juice box.
And I'm Old Boy.
And this week we got together and decided to cover a Nashville topic. Now, most of you know that we go back and forth between talking about our fatherhood and children, and sometimes the city of Nashville and pop culture could be in there. This week we wanted to throw it back to Nashville for what I call From Prevalence to Pedal Taverns, the history of Lower Broadway.
Oh my God, this is like a 3-point essay.
This is not a 3-point essay.
No. I'm
You started doing the titles, so I wanted to follow in suit.
all right. Prevalence to Pedal Taverns, 1774 through 1992.
No, we're going to go a little bit further than that. We're going to bring it up to today's time by the end of this podcast. But we wanted to
present day,
to present day,
like today, yesterday.
Yesterday.
Okay,
In fact,
cool.
It's weird. I was actually on Broadway yesterday, which it's been few and far between for me these days.
Did you get an ice cream place?
I did not go to an ice cream place. Do those exist on Broadway?
Yeah.
Mike's Ice Cream.
Yeah. Sorry, Mike. So what we want to do is I'm going to take you through a quick history, because in order to cover Broadway, you kind of have to know the history behind it. And some of our listenership out there, or the 100 people that move to Nashville every day, just look at Broadway as honky tonks and neon lights and tons of people and pedal taverns and, school buses with the tops cut off and parties and bachelorettes and, everything from when they moved here to now is what they see of Lower Broadway. Now, what I wanted to do is kind of give people out there an idea of how Broadway started, and then the dark period of Broadway, and then how it actually has come back to life to provide the epicenter of Nashville's greatest industry, which is tourism.
Okay, I like that. And the dark period, that's when it was taken over by the Empire, right?
And for everybody who doesn't know out there, these are two local Nashvillians on this podcast, and
One transplant
who has been here since the flood. But I want everybody out there to know that I'm pretty sure that Old Boy does not know anything in Nashville past, I'd say 2000.
I agree with you 100%. I've grown up here, lived my whole life here, and I know jack little about.
Well, for once, let me educate you on something.
Hell yeah.
All right.
I love to learn.
So for everybody out there that doesn't know, Nashville was really founded in the late 1700s on a fort for, it was on the river, Francis Nash.
Right. And is he related to Diesel?
The wrestler? No, is he?
Because he went by Nash also, so I figured there's probably some relation.
He is not related to Kevin Nash.
I bet they looked a lot. Francis, Kevin, yeah, they're descendants. He's a descendant.
So founded in the late 1700s, Nashville actually became a city in 1806. And then shortly after that, about, 30-something years later, we became the capital of the state of Tennessee. And, when most people think about Nashville, they think of Lower Broadway or Broadway. It was originally named Broad Street, and it was the east end. In the east end of it, basically First Avenue, housed shipping docks, which it was a main hub because we were sitting on a river. We were between a river and one of the biggest railways in the country at the time. And Broadway really wasn't a thoroughfare back then. People used First Avenue. First Avenue was actually kind of like an interstate. I saw some pictures this morning where on the corner of First Avenue and Broadway, there's actually street signs that point one way, and it says like 296 miles Memphis. And then, ahead it was like 227 miles Knoxville. And so it really was kind of a junction. Due to trade from the river, soon came on Broadway, they started building. So they're building feed stores, hardware stores, and then eventually it becomes this place called Auto Row. It's where you could, buy new cars, used cars, you could trade in cars.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay.
Yeah, for a little bit of time. And then after that, it became known as Furniture Row because all the cars moved out. They continued to build buildings on Broadway for furniture stores.
Oh man, no, I'm mind blown. So it went from auto row to furniture row.
Yes.
When was that?
So I think Auto Row was pretty good up until I'd say World War II, and then once that happened, some finances, and then the Great Depression was also preceded that. So it kind of people with money weren't buying automobiles; they moved out. Plus, the city at that time was expanding, and people were moving out to the suburbs, so they wanted to cater to that. So it became Furniture Row right there. I'd say in about the 30s, between 30 and 40.
Okay, all right, furniture row.
Yeah.
Okay, man, what are y'all doing tonight? I'm probably gonna go kick it around furniture row.
I'm gonna go.
Down in the furniture district?
Yeah. Which at the time had a couple of establishments, and they were bars. They were bars that played what they called hillbilly music, and this was the start of a honky tonk. So we're talking in the 30s. There's actually one person, it says in 1930, a man named Jimmy Rogers started performing at a bar nightly on Broadway. This attracted local tourists and others to perform, and Broadway began, also known to not very many, the Honky Tonk Highway.
Okay.
So, and then another thing that you have to understand when we're covering this subject, which is going to get really interesting here in a minute. The Ryman Auditorium, which was formerly known as the Union Gospel Tabernacle, was one of the main driving forces behind Broadway and the honky-tonk part of Broadway. So today what we're going to do is cover between 5th Avenue and 3rd Avenue, and most of you know that covers places like Tootsie's and Roberts and Layla's and the Stage and the Wheel and, some of these honky-tonks that have been around forever. But when the Ryman Auditorium actually just decided to house the Grand Ole Opry for the first time in 1943, it was in War Memorial actually. For most of you know that structure up on Diedrich Street, but it was there for a few years, and apparently these shows got so rowdy that they were tearing out upholstery in the seats, so they decided to move it to the Ryman Auditorium because they were wooden church pews and they couldn't mess them up.
Still on.
I swear to God, I read that.
That's awesome.
And some of the stuff today, before I get into it, I have to coin a lady named Mary Tettle. Is it Tettle? I think it's Tettle. Mary Tettle, who went to the University of North Carolina from 2002 to 2005 and got her master's in science. And for her master's thesis, she wrote a 157-page thesis on Lower Broadway. So a lot of this comes from her.
So we're citing Mary Kettle.
Mary Tettle?
Tettle.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. No,
Sorry for butchering your last name. Hey, so the Ryman Auditorium in 1943 started housing the Grand Ole Opry, and it did up until 1974. So, you're looking at about 30 years of the Ryman Auditorium hosting the Grand Ole Opry, which brought people to Nashville and downtown on Saturday nights. And a fun fact for some people who might not know is every single Grand Ole Opry that happened at the Ryman Auditorium was a sellout. Every single one.
That's impressive.
So with the Ryman Auditorium, kind of grew the honky tonks. Why? Because a lot of people, because of these sellouts, could not get into the Ryman. So they had the need for, to still listen to country music, and all of these honky tonks started to appear in like the 40s, right? So Tootsie's, but they were all called different names back then. But it was places for people to go and listen to hillbilly music and occasionally enjoy a beverage.
Right, just right across the alleyway there.
Yeah, and when I think about the 30s and 40s in downtown Nashville, I would really hope that Broadway would look like Bedford Falls, and like in the winter, it's what's the guy?
I have no idea where you're going with this.
It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh,
When he's running down the street, Bedford Falls, and yelling at the old bank and stuff like that. I want to think that that's what Broadway looked like back then. It was great.
I bet they could.
It was happening. There were street lights. There were people there. There was a lot going on.
Festive.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was incredible. It was a great time to be in Nashville from the 30s to the 70s, or at least in downtown Nashville.
But wasn't Prohibition still going on then? Because didn't Tennessee hold on to Prohibition for longer than it was nationally?
No, Tennessee's Prohibition was from 1909 to 1939. So if the Opry started in the 40s, then I guess we would have just escaped that.
Gotcha.
I mean, and clearly they didn't really hold on to it, right? It was probably
We were sneaking things around
right.
here,
We had
here
Jack
in Nashville.
Daniels.
Yeah,
He's a bootlegger, right? So I mean,
he was, but that's a whole nother subject.
Well,
So Broadway was very popular there from the 30s up into the 70s. And what happened in 1972? We've covered it before.
Funk.
It's been
invades Nashville.
George Clinton descends on Nashville in 1972. No, I was going to say the opening of Opryland. The opening of Opryland, got you guys back in. With the opening of Opryland, they decided to make it a complete, rounded out musical theme park by building a new building for the Grand Ole Opry specifically.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
So the Grand Ole Opry leaves, and from 1974 to 1992, the Ryman Auditorium sits empty. Which a lot of people don't expect that either. So we're looking at about a 20-year span of that beautiful building just sitting empty.
Who owned it in that time period?
I don't think it was a private owner. I think at some point the city owned it.
Some kind of historical society or something.
Yeah, but they didn't deem it a historical building until they were about to tear it down. I think
that happened in the 80s is what I was reading. A lot of buildings downtown got declared as historical landmarks,
including Lower Broadway, which is crazy that that's a historical landmark. It's the section between 5th Avenue and 3rd Avenue on Lower Broadway. So during this time, and what we're going to do is call it the dark period.
That's because there were no neon lights during that time, right?
They turned them all off.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, no, that's not what it was. What happened was it started to become where nobody would come downtown because the Opry was 12 miles outside of Nashville at this time. So you would go over there. You'd also enjoy a theme park and, everything else, a hotel. So Nashville downtown became deserted, and all of these honky tonks and furniture stores began closing, because they just couldn't sustain it with no traffic downtown. Then what happens is, these people that can't afford these buildings or they're renting these buildings, there are people that can afford that. And there are people that are making money off of what I'll call smut.
Okay.
Do you like the word smut?
I do now.
Okay. So in moves people who think that they can make money, which become these porn shops, basically.
So let me
adult stores.
Let me interrupt real quick here. When was the interstate built? Because I felt like that would have a huge effect on how much traffic was going in and around downtown. If people used to always take First Avenue and then they build the interstate and, all of a sudden...
That is a good point. I have no idea when the interstate was built.
Probably in the 40s, I think. Is that when?
Probably.
It was shortly after World War II, I feel like.
And let me be clear. In 1975, 1 year after the Grand Ole Opry departed the Ryman Auditorium and it closed down, there were still honky tonks downtown. They just weren't visited as much, and it became a haven for these artists that weren't that good to come play somewhere. Also, with the adult film stores and the adult, magazine stores, and then, gun shops started coming in, and Lower Broadway became known as a place for panhandlers and drunks, and that's why it became less and less of a family atmosphere or a night out for a couple, because it was scary. It sounds awesome to me, but it was scary.
Well, sure.
And I don't want to say, it's kind of like, I guess, when Michael J. Fox comes back from being in the future and the town looks completely different and it's all desolated. It's disgusting.
Are you talking about when he goes to Biff's?
Yeah.
Yes, when he goes to Biff's. Everything up to Biff's.
Damn, downtown Nashville was like that?
Yeah,
Yes.
It was like post-apocalyptic in 1975.
Wow.
Yeah, it was tough.
Man.
And I've got some statistics on it, which I looked this up this morning, and it says changes in business use by block, which are these statistics that they measured every 5 years. And it gives you an idea of what type of establishments were downtown, which is some really cool stuff. So in 1975, there were 4 honky tonks downtown. There were 5 buildings that were vacant. There were 7 adult venues, 5 pawn shops, 8 furniture stores. And then you go to 1980, there are, 6 furniture stores, so that drops. Pawn shops go from 5 to 6, so that's going up. Adult venues go from 7 to 10. So there's a big rise, and honky tonks really stay constant throughout from 75 to 95. There's still only 4, and those 4 were the original, the Legends Corner, Tootsie's, Layla's, and Roberts. So it was really only that block. And then you go to 85, pawn shops, 5, so they dropped 1. Adult venues go from 10 to 4. And then, so by the 80s, the adult stuff's coming out. By the 90s, it's down to 3. And then by 1995, there are no more adult venues in downtown Nashville. But from 85 to 90, the honky tonks went from 4 to 10. So that really kind of took off right there.
Okay, you're talking about Lower Broadway, though, because downtown Nashville, yes, there were still adult places.
Oh, yeah, there were. And what's funny is I saw a picture where you probably wouldn't be surprised by this, but it's a picture of Legends Corner, and I think this was 1992, maybe. It was Legends Corner, Tootsie's, Roberts, Jack's Barbecue, and then what's next to Jack's that was the biggest adult film store or adult store in downtown Nashville. Currently, it's the Stage.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. I've heard you had some history with the Stage.
Yeah, we'll get to that later.
Will we?
Do you want to do it now?
No, let me continue. That was a dark period. And then in the early 90s, we start coming back out of this in Broadway. And a lot of people don't, realize this and moved here. And they probably think Broadway was just a constant build, since the very beginning to now. But it went through that dark period. In 1992, this guy buys Tootsie's and tries to turn everything around, right? In 1995, we tear down out 2 furniture store buildings and open NASCAR Cafe, which really put us on the map. Not a lot of people remember that, but it was a massive place when we were kids. With NASCAR Cafe fame came Planet Hollywood in late 1995.
I do remember that.
Where was NASCAR Cafe?
What's that place called now? It was the Red Iguana. It was what I think it's Jason Aldean's now.
Oh, okay.
So, but what are we?
Cadillac Ranch.
Cadillac Ranch.
Yeah.
The Red Iguana. It was.
Yeah, it's always something. It's
okay.
So NASCAR Cafe opens there. Later that year, Planet Hollywood opens, and it's a big deal for Nashville, right? The news channels are down there. National news is down there. I'm pretty sure I was down there with my mom on Broadway during a party and saw Arnold Schwarzenegger come put his hand in the sidewalk, which is like one of my biggest moments of my life.
Wow, that is impressive.
It is. So, 1996.
You saw Conan as a child put his hands in cement.
And those were some pretty big hands.
Take a look at these hands.
Oh, don't start with that.
So, okay, yeah, you're right. I do remember when Planet Hollywood opened, and it was a big deal because we went down there too. I do remember that.
So Broadway is back, and what next does the city do? They open a massive arena right on Broadway, which is kind of unheard of throughout the country because a lot of arenas and football stadiums aren't necessarily in the downtown and definitely not on the main drag of downtown Nashville. Or downtown anywhere. Mm-hmm. So that opens up and it houses, we bring a hockey team here. We've got a place for concerts, and then people start buying up these honky tonks, and it kind of snowballs into what we see today.
Sure.
So NASCAR Cafe, Planet Hollywood, and I think they opened it and called it the Sommet Center at first.
Yeah, the Sommet Center.
And then there was the Gaylord Entertainment Center, and now it's Bridgestone Arena.
Yeah. The Sommet. Okay.
Yeah, and then we had a really shitty hockey team for a very long time, and it wasn't necessarily the attraction, but it made downtown safe and friendly again. So the adult shops are out, the pawn shops are gone, honky tonks are moving in, and gift stores, candy shops,
ice cream shops,
yeah. So and then barbecue places. So now, fast forward to today, because most of you have seen it from then until today. So now we're looking at certain accolades, like I think it was New York Times named us 2018's #1 drinking city in America. We are currently, basically the bachelorette capital of the world.
I agree with that. I don't understand the #1 drinking city in America.
Should it be per capita? Because I would think that would be like Vegas or New York.
Well, what does that even mean?
Well, I guess if you're a name. I mean, shoot, there's nothing but bars down there. So, I mean, there's not a lot. You can't even take kids into.
You're not coming here to stay sober.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I guess I just think about places that like New Orleans or like even
Right.
what is it, Savannah that you can like drink on the street. They have open container laws. Like I just think of a place that's not as restrictive about
Sure.
drinking as this place is.
Which we still do not have open container laws, which is very surprising. Because when I think of Broadway, I think of streets on the level of Beale Street in Memphis
Right.
or Bourbon Street in New Orleans. Maybe not that level, but
Right.
Yeah.
That's one thing that they should definitely explore, though, is like closing down the street and just, I mean, because they'll do it during hockey games sometimes, and they'll do it during like the SEC, or they have in the past. You know, they shut
Sure.
down the street, and then you can actually, you know, there's places selling drinks on the street, or you can bring your drink outside. Like,
NFL draft. I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
right.
There's more and more events. Bring smut back in. It'd be just like
Sixth
Bourbon
Street
Street.
on Austin, Texas.
That-
That's what I
that
was
too.
thinking.
Yeah,
All three of us went to Austin, Texas a few years ago, and we noticed that Sixth Street is an open street, but at night at 6 o'clock, they close it down, and it's just a party. And I think they should
my
probably
God,
do that on Broadway.
Yeah, but that turned that place into a
Nashville, circa 1980.
It turned it into Bips.
Yeah, that's what Sixth Street.
sun went
in
down
Austin
and
is.
like made the freaks come out.
Oh yeah, we saw some crazy stuff. But so Broadway's back, and now it's building and building. And another point I wanted to make was, I think it was 2000. I want to say 9-ish. There was a big issue about smoking in bars in Nashville, and we are probably the last city on earth where you can actually smoke in a bar. Maybe last major city on earth where you can
yeah,
smoke
it's-
inside.
It's got to be.
So in 2009, I think they put an ordinance downtown which kind of split the street. So if you wanted smoking in your bar, you had to be 21 and up all day long. If you didn't want smoking in your bar, you could be underage until the time of like 7 o'clock, right? So it basically they banded together, and one side of the street said, yes, we do not want smoking in our bar, and the other side of the street said, we do want smoking in our bar, and that still is going on today. So you can pretty much smoke anywhere on one side of the street, but not the other.
Right.
Now, all of the slow-moving vehicles or transportainment, as we coin it, is, you know, your pedal taverns and your tractors and your school buses with the tops cut off, and what looks to be a vehicle that can also go into the river if it wanted to.
Oh my God. I saw one the other day. They have one of those, it's a bus or whatever it is, but it has a hot tub in it. So you
It
can
has a hot tub in it?
Yes, it
I
has
wanna
a
rent
working
that
hot
out.
tub. That sounds disgusting.
Yeah, man.
They're like, we keep it clean. It's like, there's no way you keep it clean.
Wait a minute, is that written on the side of the vehicle? We keep it clean. That's their motto.
Man, you'd have to
I mean-
drain it and clean it with fire, I think.
Yeah.
We need to get a new hot tub in here every single trip.
Yeah, that's
And-
gross.
And since, you know, the three of us have been here, and we used to kind of go downtown in our single days, and now avoid it like the plague, whether you're out there and you hate Broadway and you hate going downtown, or you love it, or you're somebody who is looking to visit Nashville in the near future, everybody has their opinions, you know, on Lower Broadway. And
Sure.
today we kind of want to give you some stories about our experiences on Lower Broadway, because you're not here for the history, let's be honest.
Right.
I want to hear some old boy stories.
Well, I will say this. Back when we were running down there, it was so I would avoid it in the summer unless it was just somebody's birthday or something. But during the winter, we would go down there because it'd be less crowded and we could just bar hop
Sure.
and have a blast. And it was a lot of fun. My favorite honky tonk clearly is Roberts. They got that buffalo head painting in there.
I think we're all in agreement on that. And it's funny, I was reading a 2015 Thrillist, it was 15 or 17 Thrillist article this morning that ranked every bar in downtown Nashville. And the comments on this thing is hilarious because they gave Roberts a 4 out of 10.
What?
I swear to God, they gave Merchants a 9 out of 10. And the first comment was, as soon as I saw Roberts associated with a 4, I'm out. I was out. And it was some girl who commented.
Right.
I mean, why merchants? I don't know. I've been in merchants maybe once the whole time I've lived here.
They gave Tootsie's a 9. They gave like Acme Feed and Seed an 8. They gave Nashville Underground a 1. And if people don't remember, now it's incredible, but it used to be.
I still agree with that rating.
It's still a 1.
Yeah.
Actually,
You
that's
were-
true.
Yeah. You were there not that long ago.
Yeah.
Was that? Is that the one off? Which one is that?
It's right next to Acme.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
okay,
the
okay.
Fat Bottom Brewery or
Oh,
Rock Bottom Brewery.
I haven't been there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not missing anything.
Yeah.
So
Now there was a time I was downtown Nashville proper, Broadway, 2nd Avenue. I'd probably been kicked out of every single one of them.
I have no doubt.
By age 18.
Because you're not supposed to be there under the age of 18.
I know.
Yeah.
I had to learn the hard way.
Okay.
Like most things. But you want a good Lower Broadway story.
Who would say no to that?
Okay. I was out with some buddies. We were at the stage. And this was, again, one of those winter nights. Less crowded. It was fun. I don't have to worry about too many tourists. And we go down there, and I'm chatting up some lady at the bar. And I can feel this guy behind me just staring at me, just staring at me. So I'm thinking, oh man. So I turn around and say, hey buddy, is everything cool? We good? And he's just smiling, just looking at me. I was like, all right. So I turn around and I keep drinking, talking to this girl. Finally I turn around and said, do we have a problem, man? And he's just smiling.
You initiated it. Hold on. Was the guy bigger than you?
I don't know. We're about the same height, I guess.
Okay.
He's probably beefier than me. Most people are.
Because I don't see you saying, do we have a problem with
Oh,
anybody?
if I have a problem, I don't shy away from things. So I said, buddy, do we got a problem, man? And he's just smiling at me, just not saying a thing. He walks up, puts his hands on my shoulders, and knees me right in the nuts. And I fold like a chair. I just fold. I'm down on the ground. Bouncers immediately jump on this kid, throw him out, and I have no clue what's going on.
Was it his girl that you were chatting up?
Well, I gain my composure. I go back to the bar.
Okay.
And I start talking to the lady again. The girl, I said, I am so sorry. I was like, I didn't realize, was that your boyfriend? She says, I have no idea who that was. So I'm to this day perplexed. No clue. No clue.
Oh man, I would love to hear the other side of that story. Whatever that dude's motivation was, like,
yes,
was he dared? Was he just a straight up crazy person? Like,
if you're out there and you're listening to this podcast and you remember specifically kneeing somebody in the nuts, you probably done it before. This couldn't be his first time.
It was a professional move, man. It did me in.
If it was that professional, he put both hands, one on each shoulder, and just went all the way in on it.
Like right out of an 80s movie.
That's why he was smiling so much. He was just so giddy with the thing.
He was so excited he was about to do that.
He's like, this poor son of a gun, dude. He's about to crumple.
He has no idea.
Oh,
I'm
man.
about to ruin his life. This guy's never going to have kids.
That's a sticky situation to be in.
That's a good PG story for me.
Okay.
There's many a story I can't tell.
Yeah.
I'm probably not going to.
See, most of my stories start, back in high school. And I remember going down there in high school. It was a big deal. They had things like Dancing in the District, where you got dropped off as a live event down on First Avenue in the river. Or, when you get a little bit older, they had, teen night or high school nights at places like the Mix Factory.
The Mix Factory, yeah.
That most people don't remember.
Oh, my God, dude. I'd grind. I'd grind all night.
Yeah. So many semis in the Mix Factory.
No, there wasn't anything semi about it.
But then you get a little bit older and, you're 18 now. And finally you can get into some of these places people have been talking about forever. And I'm talking like Graham Central Station, Banana Joe's, all of those places kind of on 2nd Avenue, but like cornered Broadway. Because Broadway was still 21 and up when we were that age. But you could get into some of these bars and they were fun. And, what I remember distinctly about Broadway was it used to be a place for cruising, and people would bring every car that they had in Nashville down Broadway, and there were signs all over the place that said no cruising, and it had like a car with a with a dash through it or something. It was very, what they did was they went down Broadway, took a left on 2nd, went up to Union Street, went down to 8th, took a left, and went back down Broadway, and that was their night. They might have gotten like 4 runs in.
I forgot about cruising. Like, we even did that in my hometown. and none of us had like a really nice car, but you still like just drive around.
Yeah, windows down, rims on your car, Limp
Smoking
Biscuit
pot.
to the max.
Yeah, smoking some pot, and I guess trying to look cool. I guess, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean,
just
that was,
hollering at people in the cars next to you.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I learned a valuable lesson early on is to never pick a chick up in a car because once she gets out of the car, you're like, you know what I mean? Maybe a little bottom heavy.
No.
No, you're like, I made a mistake.
Now that thought's in my head. So the days of cruising got shut down by the cops, and started kind of the Broadway scene, which we distinctly remember, which were places like Decades. And I remember the NASCAR Cafe, and then it turned into something else. Cadillac Ranch, was that
Cadillac
it? The
Ranch.
Cadillac Ranch. We didn't really go to the older honky tonks. We went to places like Bailey's, but what I remember is one night I had a couple of people in from out of town, as well as a friend that was in town, and we go to the Big Bang, which is not a show on TV, but a dueling piano bar, which used to sit above Paradise Park, and now it's about to become a place called the Sportsman's Club. I'm excited to see what that is, but I'm in the Big Bang. It's 2012. It's in January. I think it's really close to my birthday, which is later on in January. And we go into the Big Bang. I mean, we'd had a few. It was late. It was about 10:30 or 11. We sit down at this table, and I notice right in front of me, within arm's length, sitting with his back to me, looking at the dueling piano bar, is Eli Manning. And if most of you remember this, but the Giants so this was in February because the Giants had just won the Super Bowl in 2012. So it was a Super Bowl winning quarterback right in front of me. And back then I was kind of, I got geeked out on people like that, and I don't anymore, but I was really excited that a Super Bowl winning quarterback, MVP, is sitting right in front of me, and I start talking to the people at my table like, hey, you guys see, that's fucking Eli Manning. And they were like, all right, cool. And I'm like, no, it's Eli Manning, right? So I don't know what transpires between him and the girl that he's sitting with or what, but he doesn't even give me a head turn, right? A waiter comes over to the table, takes what I think is a drink order, goes back to the bar. I'm not paying attention to any of this. Within 30 seconds, there is a tap on my shoulder, and I look up, and it is the manager of the bar who has asked me and my party to leave our table. And choose a different table, which is back in the balcony area. And I was questioning why,
As one would.
As one would. Why are you asking me to leave my table? Do I not look right to be in this dueling piano bar on downtown Broadway?
Could be something.
I'm from Broadway. You got to get out of here with that stuff. And so he's like, sir, I'm going to ask you, you can either leave or you can join a table in the back. And I was like, okay. I'm wondering at this point, does this have to do with fucking Eli Manning, right? So I look at him and I stop short of tapping this dude on the shoulder. And I said, hey, and he kind of gives me a half nod and he does not turn all the way around. And the guy was like, and the bouncer or the manager was like, all right, are you ready to move tables? And I'm like, I guess. So I get up and I turn around and I just dead stare at Eli Manning. And at this point, I'm 2 steps to the left, so I know he can see me in his peripheral.
Yes.
And I'm just staring at him like uncomfortably. And at this point, my party, the people I came with, have to pull me off of this, right?
Yeah.
So to this day, every time I see a Giants uniform or the last name Manning, I think of that story. And I fucking hate Eli Manning. He didn't even have the balls to turn around and look at me. He didn't acknowledge me. Did he think I was a stalker?
Do you want to role play?
How much of it? Yes. Dr. Hay?
Well,
Dr. Hay is not allowed in this room anymore.
I'll be Eli Manning this time. So I'm at some bar, just won the Super Bowl, trying to relax. I'm in downtown Nashville. What a shithole. Some ass clown keeps talking about it. I keep hearing, is that Eli Manning? Is that Eli Manning? So I call the waitress over. I'm like, ma'am, could you get the manager out here and get this geek out of here? She's like, which one? The one that just hold up, listen. Is that Eli Manning? That's the one. Get him out.
Okay, you know what? I've never had the opportunity to think what Eli Manning thought about that night. I just think he's a dick. Why couldn't he have just said, hi, yeah, I'm Eli Manning. Nice to meet you. Eli, if you're listening to this at some point.
Trying to listen to that Come On Eileen song.
which you'll hear nightly on Lower Broadway.
That's right.
Oh man, what? We were out a couple weekends ago and we saw the Bang This twins downtown.
They're
Like,
still
Yes,
alive.
they
yeah,
are.
at the bar closed. They're still out there wearing Bang This t-shirts, and they smell so bad. They smell so bad.
I
man.
did have a
felt bad.
conversation with one of them. It's funny. One of them is a talker, and the other one is not a talker. Which you'd think that they would be the same. I mean, they look exactly the same. If you don't know about the Bang This twins, you haven't been to Nashville.
Right.
Yeah.
You're bound to encounter them. So they're like a Penn and Teller act.
Although they're more rare to see them now. You used to see them all the time, but
That's true.
Think their health is slipping.
I was
maybe,
always
you know, and they're-
surprised. Oh,
well, I was just gonna say, I feel like they were old when I first saw them 10 years ago. Like,
Right.
for sure. And I'm always surprised that people, the millions of people that have probably taken pictures with the Bang This twins, they've never asked for a dime.
But people always give them money. I mean,
do they?
yeah, I don't know. Every time we've taken a photo with them, we've given them a couple bucks.
Did you give them money this past time?
Yeah.
I didn't see that. I didn't give them money.
I think like $2 or something.
Oh.
So if a million people would took pictures with them and everybody gave them $1, they could be millionaires right now.
I don't think they are, or they are. they're hiding it really well.
Oh my God, that's a story I would like to know. Somebody that was with us was like, "Where have you guys been?" And they said, "We don't come downtown anymore. There's too many black people."
Oh,
And it was
Wow.
like,
well, I don't
oh.
feel so bad anymore.
Okay, guys, take your $2 and go now.
Yes.
Okay.
Dude.
Now I have a different vision of the Bang This twins.
Yeah.
I didn't like them to begin with, but
No,
I always thought they were kind of awkward.
They were creepy. So I don't know. I don't have a great downtown story because I feel like I haven't ever. I didn't grow up here.
And you don't remember them. I mean, let's be honest.
Well, I guess that too. But I feel like a lot of my big party crazy things happened on like 2nd Avenue because I mean some of those bars are just so terrible you can't help but to like black out inside.
that's very
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, I've got lots of Second Avenue.
I have
Yeah.
lots of 2nd Avenue stories.
We-
So maybe
I mean,
that'll be
we-
for a later podcast.
we
We'll
can
just
do another
dedicate an entire podcast to 2nd Avenue.
But I just like to think about like maybe in 2011, 2012, before Nashville was starting to boom then, but it hadn't really taken off. Downtown hadn't become the shit show that it is now.
Yeah.
Old boy and I went down there one night and shot like a little short film just in and out of all these bars downtown. Like had no problem just going in with some camera gear, me dressed as like a spy or whatever, just like in and out of these bars, shooting stuff everywhere. No, there was nobody in these bars.
You're
Yeah.
right. It was great.
Now
actually.
you go
It's
out
kinda
on a
cool.
Tuesday night and things are jammed.
I wish that, it would be nice if they extended the sidewalks or provided something else. Because, like I said, I was down there last night, and I haven't been down there in quite a while, and it was impossible to walk anywhere.
Yeah.
Just so many people. It was the first time I had ever encountered an Uber app where it said no drivers available. And that's how congested downtown Nashville is. But
Damn.
it is still a fun place. And when you were talking a few years ago when you got shot that short film, it was still the Nashville that we remembered, like the Whiskey
Right.
Bent Saloon Nashville
Yeah.
and the Silver Dollar Saloon and the Wheel and all of the original honky tonks, and then they had Bailey's and they didn't have Acme and they had Hard Rock Cafe, but nobody ever went in there. And I think
Right.
that's why we all stayed on 2nd Avenue, is because that's where the condensity, is that a word, of the bars were. And now bars are a premium, and it is insane that we have gone from being like the honky tonk capital of the world to now like honky tonk country music Disneyland.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, it's become so fucking generic. Like nothing has any character. Every bar is every honky tonk complex is exactly the same down there. Like
Yeah. If you have any sort of popularity, you have a bar downtown and a whiskey.
I guess Kid Rock bars kind of setting themselves apart just because they have like a different flavor of herpes on every single level that you go on there, so you can get all your coverage. They also
new
have that
strains.
Joe C tribute on the 4th floor.
Do they really?
I don't know.
Oh, if they did, I would definitely go check that out one night. Yes. So everybody who's anybody in country music now has a bar. That's why
Right.
we call it Disneyland. John Rich has a bar. Alan Jackson, Dierks Bentley,
Jason Aldean.
Florida Georgia Line, Blake
Toby
Shelton.
Keith.
Toby Keith does not surprisingly have a bar yet.
He sponsors Joe Crabshack though.
Okay. Yes.
I got a great Joe's Crab Shack story.
Okay, so I would relate Toby Keith with Joe's Crab Shack.
But everybody has a whiskey too. I heard like Darius Rucker has a whiskey, and now Bob Dylan's moving to town. He's gonna have a bar and a distillery and whiskey. And it's like, shit,
Does
man.
Metallica have a whiskey?
They do. Metallica has a whiskey. Bob Dylan's actually opens later this year in an old church in Nashville. It's going to be a distillery and a bar.
Right.
Like, what the hell does Bob Dylan have to do with this thing, really?
I don't know why
They
he
gave
wants-
him like $100,000 to say Bob Dylan's whiskey or something.
That's it. None of these people, like Kid Rock, they don't own these bars. They maybe just own 1% of them. As you know, if you don't know this, and old boy's shaking his head at me like, Kid Rock owns that bar. He doesn't. There's a guy named Steve that owns all of Broadway, pretty much, right? So he opens these places, and he gets their names to promote the bar.
To license it, I guess. He pays them a percentage to license their name.
And those are the exact reasons, those bars in specific are the exact reasons are driving locals away from downtown Nashville. Now, there are a few things that bring us back in. The NFL draft, the SEC tournament, sometimes... Well, I would never go down there for 4th of July or New Year's again.
No, dude, no.
Oh my God.
Yes.
I just had a flashback of that one time we went downtown for New Year's, and I thought I was going to die.
Right.
It was the first time ever I was in a crowd, and this, I think Hank Williams Jr. was the headliner, and it was about to be midnight. The first time ever I was in a crowd where I'm holding my girlfriend, now wife's hand, and her hand slips away from mine because it's elbow to elbow, and then I thought I lost her in like a sea. Like, I
You're like,
looked,
well,
and the
I
hand
guess-
was no longer there. I couldn't see her head or anything. It's like she went into the abyss.
It was like the Titanic.
Yeah.
That sucks though, man. Because I remember going downtown as a kid and seeing the fireworks and stuff like that. And and my kid loves downtown Nashville, and you couldn't pay me to take her down there. I mean, I just won't do it.
Sure.
I mean, we were downtown on New Year's Eve, maybe in 2000, maybe it was 2012, maybe it was 2011. But it wasn't that busy. It was like literally got crazy. That was like 3 years later, maybe.
Sure. Yeah.
Do you think it'll dry up? Do you think it'll lose steam at some point?
Broadway?
Yeah, I'll probably
No.
be 78 and can't make it downtown anymore.
If anything, it's going to build, and it's going to go. From what I hear, they're running out of real estate. You can't put new buildings. You can build them up, I guess, but people are just cutting them off. And now rooftops are the biggest thing.
Right.
There's a rooftop on every single bar because they're using every real estate in the building. So from what I hear, this new complex that's going in at where the old Nashville Convention Center is. They're going to start building that all the way up to the interstate with shops and bars and restaurants and eateries and things like that, which brings in another point is Hume Fogg sits right there, which was actually the first public high school in Nashville. And, it opened in the late 1800s, and you can't move that. So are you just going to build around it? And that kind of takes away from the...
Well, and also like the Google building is supposedly going right there too, right? Like that's
Well, a little further down, I think it's Amazon.
yeah, Amazon. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, so they're putting that right between the interstate and everything. So anyway, it's speaking from last night, it's not fun. I mean, now there's places like a bar I was in last night called Nudies, who's coining the longest bar in Nashville. Who gives a shit? Like, that just means you're way further back and you can't hear the band as well.
That
Like,
place is, yeah, I don't know. I remember
Zero
when that.
nudity too.
Zero nudity. It's a bad.
Yeah, it's a lie.
You had a good point earlier about shutting down Broadway and, not letting traffic go through there. Let's say from 1st Avenue to 5th Avenue. And then it would be a massive opening and thoroughfare there for people to walk. It also could be like a corral for pedal taverns, and all they did was go down one side of the street and up the other side of the street.
I mean,
circles.
Are you saying they'll cruise?
Dude.
Pedal tavern cruising.
Pedal Tavern. I mean, okay, full disclosure. We did a Pedal Tavern back in 2011 or something like that.
I was
like
on
when
that,
it was
yes.
first came to town. The shit can be kind of fun, but it's obnoxious as fuck. But we were downtown last 2 weekends ago. We had some friends in town. We went downtown at like 10:30 in the morning on a Friday because we were like, we're going to walk across the pedestrian bridge. We each got our kid. We'll put it in the stroller. It was nice out. We're like, we'll do a quick loop around downtown thinking at 10:30 in the morning, it's not going to be that much of a shit show.
Sure.
there was already pedal taverns everywhere. People were like just yelling off the pedal tavern like at me pushing a baby down the street. It's like, bro, come on, like I understand partying, but why are you yelling at a family?
So they tried to woo
Right.
your baby.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh man, I think you know what I really think it is. I think we're fucking old, man. Is what
It
You're-
could be it.
I'm sorry.
You're
I'm trying
you're
not to
right.
cuss.
You're right.
I think we're old now.
You're right. And there was a point in time in my life when I was probably like, who the fuck would bring their baby downtown in a stroller? But it's like you think at 10:30 in the morning it's not going to be that much of a shit show.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
No, they start at like 7:30 on Saturdays.
Well, this wasn't even a weekend.
No, this is a Tuesday night or Tuesday morning.
So we all hate it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So here's an exercise: is if you, now that everybody has their own ideas of what their bar should be, and we've seen them, we've been in them. If you could put a bar on Broadway, what would it be?
Well, I'm hoping that we're big enough and we call it Raising Nashville.
Okay, so our Raising Nashville
Raising
bar,
Honky Tonk.
our Raising
Bucky.
Nashville honky tonk.
That's right.
And so at the top of it, are we in like a crow's nest and we're just doing this podcast 24/7?
Oh my god.
That's what-
No, it'll just be bad paintings of us on the wall, like we're doing a podcast, and then we'll just loop the same 12 country songs that they play everywhere.
Okay,
See, okay.
it would make money.
Yeah. I'm on board with the money part. I would just bring back Decades. Decades was the best bar downtown
Damn.
forever. Because, man, come on. Who doesn't like 80s and 90s music? Like,
You're
I
right.
don't know.
That is true. Decades probably was one of my favorite places in this city ever.
Like, why did it close? And the bar they put there is just,
The Bootleggers Inn?
yeah.
is what it's called.
It's fucking garbage. I'm sorry. I know you're
Decades
trying
was-
to not cuss, but.
No, you're
This is
absolutely
getting me
right.
worked up when we're
Decades
talking
had,
about
and it had
Decades
like
closing.
And stripper poles.
Coke mirrors all over the walls. It was great.
Yep. And
You had
where
the
you
giant fishbowl of alcohol if you wanted to.
True, and where you danced was like an elevated, like a lot smaller than the entire bar, but it was elevated. You
Yeah.
couldn't take drinks up there, I think, from what I remember. Maybe you could.
It
I
was,
don't know.
It was dope. You're absolutely right. This is the best bar downtown ever. Ever.
So, all right, so Juicebox would bring back Decades.
I have to switch my answer. I have to go back.
I think I would bring back Banana Joe's, and that's where the first time and back then I was going there where you had to wash the black X's off your hands. So there was like all the lines for the men's bathroom were just dudes trying to wash X's off their hands and in order to get drinks.
Oh, I got you.
That's an interesting technique. We give you an X on your head if you can't drink.
Yes,
You could get in at underage, 18.
yeah,
right.
it was like
He's
it was
saying-
teen
he's saying, yeah,
nights.
they-
Who's
So
not gonna wash that off? Like,
I don't know.
immediately?
Eventually, they caught on, and like a year or two later, they had a guy in the bathroom monitoring whether you're washing hands off or not.
So they didn't even just change it to give the person that was over 21 an X. They
No.
put somebody in the bathroom.
They paid someone to do that, and now they're called bathroom attendants, and they've increased it by giving them
Oh, my
mints
God.
and washing hands.
Can we talk about that real quick? I know that's not specific to Broadway,
But it
what do you-
is. It's
what do
in
you
every
guys-
bar.
It is, but I mean, it's other places too. But what do you guys think about bathroom attendants?
They make me not wash my hands every third time I go into the bathroom.
Dude, I mean, it's just like I feel bad for them because the bathrooms are always gross.
And they have to sit in there for like
Yeah.
8 hours.
Yeah, and it's like, dude, I don't need you to put soap on my hand. Like, I am an adult.
Yeah, we're not in a fancy restaurant in New York. Like, this is Broadway.
Yeah.
I'll give you $1 to not spray cologne on me.
Oh,
If there's a bucket of water sitting there, I would just wash my hands in that.
And
Other than having to deal with you.
It's-
and then
it's
like,
tough.
do you want some of these mints that have just been sitting out in the bathroom? It's like, no, I don't want that.
People's shit smell.
So we have a few sponsors this week since we're covering Lower Broadway, sponsors from Lower Broadway who want to get on the podcast and advertise their business. And Bucky, roll.
Biscuit Williams Biscuits on Broadway, serving hungover honky-tonkers since 1974 to the backdrop of classic country. None of that new shit. Soak up them suds with some hearty biscuits and gravy, finger-squeezed OJ, and local pork skins. Or, if that ain't your speed and you want to drink your breakfast, try Biscuit Williams' favorite morning cocktail. A shot of Dickel chased by a shot of Log Cabin. Biscuit Williams Biscuits on Broadway. You haven't done Broadway till you've lost your biscuits in a back alley.
And we also have another sponsor today.
Bucky's Karaoke Honky Tonk. It's like a honky tonk where we retread the same 12 country songs played at every honky tonk, but somehow with less talent. Come down, be overserved, and forget the words to your favorite songs, all while risking humiliation on social media. Bucky's Karaoke Honky Tonk on 5th. You'll live to regret it.
You were born for this. So we're old, right? So I think maybe we should get someone else's opinion on this. Maybe somebody younger.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Who do you have in mind?
I was thinking we bring in my daughter Samantha, age 4.
Age 4. Sam.
Hi.
Samantha, welcome to Raising Nashville. We're excited you're here today.
Are you excited to be here?
Yes.
Good. We're excited to have you. So we want to ask you a few questions about
Lower Broadway.
or downtown Nashville. So have you been to downtown Nashville?
Yes.
Cool. And tell me, what do you like about downtown Nashville?
The candy shop.
The candy shop.
Okay. Tell us why you like the candy shop. Tell me the story.
Because it has candy in it, and we don't want it to be small and with no candy. That's why we got some.
Yeah. What kind of candy did you get at the candy shop?
I don't know.
Is it the candy shop on 2nd Avenue?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, what else do we do downtown Nashville?
We go to have fun in it, and it's getting bigger.
It is.
Yes, it is getting bigger because Daddy thought it was a small city, but it's turning into a big city, isn't it?
Why did you think it was a small city?
When I was your age, it was a small city. It's a lot smaller than it is now. It's expanding.
There wasn't very much to do downtown when we were kids. So there's a lot to do downtown now that you are growing up in this great city of Nashville.
Yeah. Have you been down to the library in Nashville?
No.
That is not true. Yes, you have. I think you saw some puppet shows there.
Yes.
Did you like them?
Yes.
What were the stories about?
We have to get it from the shelves, and I can't reach the ones that are super high.
Okay. We'll come back to that. Now, what is your favorite thing about downtown Nashville?
It's the big lights.
Yeah.
It's the big lights.
Bright city, bright lights.
And the candy shop.
And the candy shop.
And fun.
Now, do we go into any restaurants downtown?
We went to a biscuit one.
What else?
That's all.
That's it.
The old spaghetti factory?
Yeah. And then we're going to go to another one.
You want to go to another one?
Yeah, we went to Demo's also, but at the old spaghetti factory, we ate in the trolley, didn't we?
Yeah.
All right. Is there anything you want to tell the listenership?
I really want to tell you the candy shop again.
Oh, you want to talk more about the candy shop? I'm okay with that. You know, Daddy, old boy loves candy.
And I saw a toy.
Yes.
The candy shop.
Let's talk about this toy, Samantha.
I don't know it's all like candy, but there's a toy with candy inside of it, I think.
Okay. So you want old boy to take you down there this afternoon to get this toy with candy inside of it?
No.
Are you saying no because he is making a face at you right now?
We are?
Samantha, I have one question for you before we leave the air. Is it possible for me to ask you a question?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell our listenership out there about your dishwashing skills? And do you like washing dishes?
I hope sometime.
You help sometimes?
Yeah.
Have you ever been fired from a dishwashing job?
No.
No?
Well, we'll discuss this later, Samantha.
Samantha, what's your favorite chore to do at your house?
cleaned up my room.
Cleaned up your room? That's your favorite chore?
Yeah, you're pretty good at it. I have to admit, it takes a few times to tell you, but you listen. You're doing pretty good.
Do you get allowance for cleaning up your room?
No.
Do you know what allowance is? Because I can tell you real quick, and we can start that process.
No, I don't know.
Okay, it's
Well-
where you get money for doing things around the house. Do you like money?
I have some.
You have some?
Yeah, and my piggy banks.
Okay.
I have 2.
Okay.
She has
Not
2
just
piggy banks.
one.
2 piggy banks? You're that rich?
She diversifies.
That means you've been doing a lot of chores.
I
Yeah.
got a small one and a big one.
Okay.
right, yeah.
Well, we're going to try to fill that big one. So when you get home today, I'm going to have old boy start talking to you about allowance. Would that work?
Well, we have some performance reviews coming up, and I've been holding back wages.
Well, Samantha, we want to say thank you for coming on our podcast today and talking about your favorite things of Lower Broadway here in Nashville.
Yeah, thank you, Sam. You did a great job. Do you want to say anything else on to everybody?
No, I want to say Easter Bunny.
You want to say Easter Bunny?
Yeah,
Okay. Why? Are you excited about the Easter Bunny?
because it has candy.
Oh my gosh, you are my daughter. Well, perfect. Well, we love you, kid. Why don't you hop on out of here?
I can't get off.
Okay, I'll help you down.
Can't get off the stool. Thanks, Sam.
Thank you.
So we hope that you have enjoyed our banter today about Lower Broadway.
You gave us a good history lesson.
I gave you a semi-good history lesson.
I didn't fall asleep. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm excited you guys, caught a little something from that today, especially a Nashville native like you, old boy.
That's right.
You need some history in your own city.
Can you tell me why they call it the Athens of the South?
I can. It is because there are more...
Greeks.
No, it's not a Greek city. We are the Athens of the South because we have more universities and schools per capita, just like Athens, Greece had.
Oh, I was thinking it was because, like, after Furniture Row, it was Gyro Row.
We hope you guys enjoyed listening. If you don't have children,
Have one.
have one.
Catch up.
Yeah, we want you to know what we go through.
Yeah, the fear.